Good afternoon, everyone. Does anyone know what happened to Kumiko? Last week she was planning to fly to New York, but then Sandy was really bad. I mean, really bad. Does anyone know if she canceled her trip or if she went? I hope she canceled. I hope she canceled, or I hope the flight went to a different city. Maybe she had a different vacation. Because, yeah, Sandy was really bad. Really bad, so.
In the media, they called Sunday as a superstorm. But then, perfect storm. Why perfect?
Perfect storm, yeah, perfect usually means like something good, positive. But it just means like, if you say like he's perfectly good or perfectly bad, it means like 100%. It's like the highest degree, the best. I mean, yeah, just really, really bad. You say it's the perfect storm. Oh, she just had such bad timing. Really bad luck. I hope she's okay. But you may have noticed I have a camera. The reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to do an experiment to see if it takes much work to put these on the internet, on YouTube. So last couple of classes I've been recording it, and then I've been editing it, and then transferring it to the internet onto YouTube. And so sometimes, often, a lot of my classes, people, not today, not here, but a lot of my classes people record, like on an MP3 recorder or audio recorder. Maybe they want to review at home or something like that. And I thought, it's easy for me, maybe, to do video. So on YouTube, you can actually just review classes, or if you missed a class, then you can actually see some of the missing material, things like that. So if it's not too much extra work for me, then I think I might try it. If it's really difficult, then maybe just... So I'm experimenting, I'm seeing how easy it is, how difficult it is. So don't worry, the camera's only pointing towards me. So you don't have to worry about being like, part of the classroom, so it's fine. Alright. So the first thing I want to work on today is kind of an experiment in subjectivity. Do you understand the words subjective or objective? Okay, so objective means kind of very clear fact. Everybody agrees. The world is round. The sun is hot. Ice is cold. All of these kinds of things, these are called objective truth. Objective. Subjective would be opinion. So it's true for me, but it's not true for everyone. So, alright, so let's take a look at the vocabulary first. So subjective. Vocabulary, subjective. Let's see, does it say? Object, regarding, I guess number 4 would be pretty close for a definition. Number 4, regarding or setting forth what is external, actual, practical, not based on your emotions, not based on your opinions. So it basically means fact or truth that everybody agrees. Subjective just means your opinion. So I think Japanese food is the best food in the world. I think so. It's true for me. Maybe it's true for you, but it's not true for everybody. It's not true for everybody in the world. You say it's a subjective truth. So objective, subjective. So that would be maybe number 4, influenced by or derived from personal taste or opinion, lacking impartiality or objectivity. So you're thinking just for my opinion, my idea, that's subjective. So now, if you think about art, if you think about movies, if you think about beauty, there's a lot of differences between people's opinions. What is good art? What is bad art? Beautiful or not beautiful? So I want to do an experiment, very short. I've done this with about 100 people in the last week, different groups of people. I'm just kind of curious what you think. So I'm going to show you a series of pictures, basically 3 pictures in each set. And I want you with your partner to explain which one you like the best, and then explain why. Is it, you know, something about the shape, the color? Try to explain, use adjectives to try to explain why you like it better than the other two examples. Alright, so the first one is a series of pictures for women. So three women. First one, let's get a little bit closer. First woman, number 1, number 2, number 3. Second series is music player. If it'll come up. Sorry. Okay, music player. You have the iPods, you have Sony, you have RCA, an American company, American brand. Alright, so for these first two series, stop that. For these first two series, which one do you like the best, and can you explain why to your partner? So today we have even partners. So Gunji, Mitsuko, can you guys work together on the corner there? And then just for 1 minute, 2 minutes, which one do you like the best? Explain why. Why do you like it better? Okay, we have about 5 minutes before taking our first break. So I'd like to see if we can explain maybe these 11 vocabulary, and then we'll do a short listening when we get back. The vocabulary, we have perception, pageant, split second, inner beauty, thrilled, bubbly, contestant, confidence, wimpy, outgoing, and events. Alright, perception. Perception would match best with I. So the way you understand something and your beliefs about it. Perception can also be your senses. Like if you can hear something or see something or touch something, you say you're perceiving your environment. But here it's mostly about the way you understand something. Number 2, do you know this word, pageant? It's often beauty pageant, very commonly. A pageant would basically be E. It's a contest in which people are judged on various qualities. It's a type of contest. How about split second? Do you know in a heartbeat, in a blink of an eye? It's the same thing. If you say that you're trying to make a decision, you're trying to make a choice, if you make the choice in a split second, it means you make it very quickly, very fast. You don't have to think a long time. You can make a choice very quickly. Or you can say you make a choice in a heartbeat or in the blink of an eye. All of them mean the same thing. It just means very fast. You can also use this a lot of times maybe for an accident. Let's say you're in a car accident. Many people, when they experience an accident, they feel like it happens very quick. And so they say the accident happened in a heartbeat, in the blink of an eye, in a split second. That kind of thing. So number 3 would match with K. So it's a moment or a very short period of time. How about number 4, inner beauty? So outer beauty would be your skin, your hair, your physical appearance. Inner beauty would be your personality. It would be a wonderful personality. This would match with K. Or sorry, G. Thrilled. Now, a thrill means maybe like a roller coaster or a very exciting kind of thing. But if you say, I'm thrilled to do it, I'm thrilled to go, it kind of just means you're very, very excited and pleased and very happy about something. You say, I'm thrilled. Bubbly. Bubbly, I think, is actually, well, let's see if they actually have bubbly. Bubbly is usually, I hear it mostly about talking about champagne. So, bubbly says, okay, it says having bubbles, bubble-like, or cheerful and lively. And then also, yeah, champagne. It's a noun for champagne. So if you're like at a wedding or something, you can say, please help yourself. There's lots of bubbly. There's lots of champagne. That's the most common way, I think, to talk about this word. But it also just means very friendly, very cheerful, very happy person. usually talking about a woman or a girl, a female. So men, I've never heard men called bubbly. So friendly, happy, cheerful. That's bubbly. So this would match with D. Contestant. So a contestant is F. It's a person who competes in a contest. You say it's a contestant. Any contest. But very commonly like game shows on TV, things like that. Jeopardy, quiz shows. Those are often called contestants. Confidence. Confidence would, belief in your ability to do things well. Anything, pass a test, play a sport game, or anything like that would be confidence. Wimpy? C. Yeah, weak and afraid. If you, now wimp is not such a common word anymore. It was very, very common when I was a child. Maybe 25 years ago, this was very common. That's an interesting word. Pusillanimous. I've never seen that word. Alright, ineffectual kind of means they can't do things. They can't make things happen. They can't accomplish things. You say ineffectual, kind of weak. Or lack the courage to do something would be kind of wimp out. It kind of means you're not brave. You're kind of a coward. But if you look at synonyms for wimp, you find words like maybe a softie, maybe a nerd, a wuss, for Australian English, a tonk. It kind of just means a very maybe kind of very afraid, very weak, very cowardly kind of person. So for here, this would match with, C, weak and afraid. Wimpy would be the adjective. You say, she is a wimpy person, he's a wimpy man. The wimp would be the noun. You are a wimp. Outgoing would be, okay, B. You want to meet, talk to lots of new people. And events would be show or clearly display. This is not very common word. This is not a very common word. To events kind of means to show evidence. So evidence would be some kind of fact or information. This is the process of showing it. So to events, I guess it's not so uncommon, but I don't see it so often. So synonyms would be to show, to reveal, to indicate, display, demonstrate. These would be all very similar words to events something. So if you evince courage, you show people you're a courageous person. If you evince fear, you show people that you're afraid. It's the same thing. You're showing, you're expressing. But a little bit more formal and not such a common word actually. I've never heard someone use events in normal conversation. I've never heard it. Actually, to be honest, I've only heard this word being used twice. One is in the listening we're going to do after the break. And two was actually, I was reading something in a book and they said events. That's it. So it's not very common. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to listen to an interview of basically a beauty contest judge. And then talking about why he was a judge, how he became a judge, and also the kinds of criteria that he uses to decide, beautiful or not beautiful. So anyway, let's take a quick break. We'll work on this a little bit more when we get back. Just maybe another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So tomorrow is the big election day. Who do you think you would vote for? If you were American, would you vote for Romney or do you think you'd vote for Obama? I think I'd vote for Obama. I don't like him that much. I think he's just so-so. But I think he's better than Romney. But Japanese people in general like Obama, right?
Yes.
Mostly, yeah.
But the race is very close.
Yeah, it's really close.
But today, they showed 50% to 7. A little, advanced for Obama.
Usually the incumbent wins. The incumbent means the person who's already president. Usually they win. They have a really big advantage, but yeah, it's really close. So tomorrow. So today is Tuesday, so Monday in the States. So tomorrow's Wednesday, Tuesday. They vote on the Tuesday, the final vote. So tomorrow. Yeah. It's called a nail biter. Have you ever heard that? A nail biter? A nail biter is a situation where you're really nervous or you're really kind of excited about something. Usually talking about a sports game. So if you're watching some kind of sports, you're like, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? You're biting your nails. It's called a nail biter. Could be fun, maybe. Okay, so I want to do the listening, talking about this this beauty contest judge, and he's a really interesting guy. I like him. He's an interesting man. But what I want you to do in the listening is just to answer these 4 questions. So after the vocabulary, we had 4 questions. 1, what's unusual about Harold Grace as a beauty pageant judge? 2, which of these senses does Harold use to judge beauty? When did Harold's sense of beauty change? His idea of beauty change? And what is the most important part of Harold's definition of beauty? So just listen and choose A, B, or C. It's not easy interview, but hopefully with the vocabulary, maybe you can catch most of the details.
Unit 1. Beauty is in the mind of the beholder. Section 3. Listening. Page 4.
Beauty, like health, is often in the mind of the beholder. We say mind because something like beauty is entirely dependent on perception. And in Edmonton, Alberta, beauty pageant officials decided to acknowledge that. They asked a blind man if he'd like to be a judge for the Miss Alberta and Miss Teen Alberta competitions. It took Harold Grace a split second to decide. Inner beauty is something he is in a position to judge. He's a local fundraiser for civic projects in Edmonton, and Harold Grace says he was thrilled to be asked.
I went home and discussed it with my wife, and after I picked her up off the floor, then she said, well, you've done lots of different things in your life, Harold. Why not try another one? So I agreed to do it.
What does beauty sound like? What does a fetching candidate sound like to you?
You can tell a softness of a voice just in terms of if someone's laughing. Like my wife's quite a bubbly individual, just to give you an example, and you listen to that in the people's different voices. You also listen to where the direction of their voice is coming from, so that if I'm asking them a question, you can judge if they're facing you or if they're kind of looking around and really bored with really answering your question. When the contestants came in from a tile floor to a rug floor, you kind of can listen to their footsteps, if they're heavy or light. Also, you can tell from a handshake, if they have a firm handshake. Most people with firm handshakes have a reasonable amount of confidence. If they've got kind of like a wimpy handshake, either they're nervous or just wimps.
Wow, you've got a catalog of stuff. You lost your sight just 15 years ago. How old are you?
51.
So has your definition of beauty changed since the days when you had vision?
Yes, I would say that it's probably changed, probably somewhat before that, because as you get older, other things about personalities and people are much more important than the physical element than when I was a teenager or in your early 20s before you were married and all those kinds of things.
What did your wife think of your selection?
Oh, she said if I'd selected anybody else, she would have killed me.
Let me ask you, what is your definition of beauty?
Well, I think my definition of beauty is someone who's reasonably outgoing, full of fun, laughter, just someone who shows caring and true sensitivity.
Well, we think that you have evinced a lot of all of that, and we really thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Harold Grace, He was a judge in this year's Miss Alberta and Miss Teen Alberta beauty pageants. He spoke to us from the Edmonton studios of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Okay, so first one. Anyone catch the first one? Why is he a strange choice? B. He's blind. He's a blind man, so that's kind of unusual. Because usually vision, sight, is the main way people decide beauty or not beauty. So that's unusual. So which of these senses does Harold use to judge beauty? So smell and taste and sound, sound and touch. Yeah, sound and touch. Taste would be really unusual. If he's tasting the women, I think it's quite strange. 3. When did Harold's sense of beauty change? B, yeah, when he got older. Of course, when he became blind, it changed. But he said even before that, before he lost his vision, just when he got older, it changed. And then, what's an important part of Harold's definition of beauty? Personality, yeah. So at the end, she asks him, what's your idea? She says, outgoing and friendly and sensitive and kind of kind and things like that. So personality, a really big part of his definition. So I think he's quite interesting. I like his own ideas of personality. Now the next page has the script, the script for the conversation. So I'd like to go through this and just explain a few more vocabulary, and then we'll kind of shift to a new topic. So this is Jackie Linden. She's the host, the woman, and then Harold Grace, our man. Let's listen one more time.
Unit 1. Beauty is in the mind of the beholder. Section 3. Listening. Page 4.
Beauty, like health, is often in the mind of the beholder. We say mind because something like beauty is entirely dependent on perception. And in Edmonton, Alberta, beauty pageant officials decided to acknowledge that. They asked a blind man if he'd like to be a judge for the Miss Alberta and Miss Teen Alberta competitions. It took Harold Grace a split second to decide. Inner beauty is something he is in a position to judge. He's a local fundraiser for civic projects in Edmonton, and Harold Grace says he was thrilled to be asked.
Alright, so there's three of the vocabulary. So perception, so entirely dependent on perception. Split second to decide, so he didn't think about it for a long time. They asked him, he decided immediately, split second to decide. Also, it said that inner beauty is something he's in a position to judge. So he can't judge outer beauty. He can't judge the way a woman or a man looks. He can only really judge on personality, voice, things like that. So he's in a position to judge that. And then also it says he was thrilled to be asked. He's really happy they asked him. Thrilled to be asked. Alright, the next section is a little bit strange expression. He says, I went home, discussed it with my wife, and after I picked her up off the floor, then she said, well, you've done a lot of interesting things in your life, Harold, why not try another one? So I agreed to do it. Picked her up off the floor. It kind of means his wife was so surprised, so shocked, that she fell down, that maybe she fainted. And then he picks her up and she says, yeah, you should try it, you should do it. Now this is just a kind of a joke. And the woman he's talking to, she laughs. She didn't actually fall down. He's just saying she was really surprised. She was really shocked.
I went home and discussed it with my wife, and after I picked her up off the floor, then she said, well, you've done lots of different things in your life, Harold. Why not try another one? So I agreed to do it.
What does beauty sound like? I mean, what does a fetching candidate sound like to you?
Okay, fetching. Now, fetch can be a verb, to fetch. And to fetch often means you ask someone or you ask something to bring you something. So let's say I'm in the living room and I ask my son, I say, hey, can you go to the bedroom, can you bring me some socks? He fetches the socks for me. Or maybe like a dog A dog really likes to chase a ball or chase a stick and bring it back. That's to fetch something. But that's a verb. This is an adjective. If you say, she is a fetching woman, or maybe you look fetching tonight, it just means attractive. It just means good looking. You would say someone is fetching. Not terribly common words, but most people would probably know it. Let's see if I can find it in the dictionary. Yeah, there we go. So for adjectives, fascinating or charming or attractive. Just an attractive person. Usually just talking about women. You say a fetching woman or a fetching date, or maybe you look fetching. This would be really common, like in a movie. Imagine a movie where the boy goes to the girl's front door, knocks on the door, his date opens the door, she's wearing a beautiful dress. He says, you look very fetching tonight. You look very attractive tonight. It's a really common kind of situation where you would hear this word. Alright, so the woman, she says, for you, you can't see them, so what does a fetching candidate sound like? What do you look for, or what do you listen for to decide good or bad candidate, quality, beauty? And he gives a big list. He says, a softness of the voice. He says his wife, she's very bubbly, so he likes that, very cheerful and laughing and that kind of personality. Also, the direction of the person's voice. So he's blind, he can't make eye contact. So he listens. Are they speaking to me, or are they kind of, sort of speaking off a little bit? They're not very interested. So he listens to where their voice is coming from. Also, he listens to the sound of their footsteps. So when they walk on the floor, are they very graceful? Are they very kind of heavy? Or very kind of light footsteps? He kind of decides based on grace, footsteps. Also, handshake. He shakes their hand. If they have kind of a very firm handshake, firm kind of means they grab his hand. It kind of means they're confident. They feel confident about themselves. But it is very soft, very weak handshake, wimpy handshake. Maybe they're nervous, maybe they're weak, maybe they're afraid, and then he thinks not as attractive, not as good. And so the woman then says, wow, you've got a catalog of stuff. Catalog. Catalog is often talking about shopping. You go to a department store, you have a catalog of the clothing or a catalog of the products. This just means list. A list of things. So if you say, when you go traveling, what do you take? I take a book, I take 3 pairs of trousers, I take 3 pairs of socks, I have a big list of things I take. You can say it's a catalog of things. It's a list of things that you do or you think about or you take. So anyway, she thinks he's got a really big list of criteria that he judges them on. Which is fine. It's probably good.
You can tell a softness of a voice just in terms of if someone's laughing. Like, my wife's quite a bubbly individual, just to give you an example, and you listen to that in the people's different voices. You also listen to where the direction of their voice is coming from, so that if I'm asking them a question, you can judge if they're facing you or if they're kind of looking around, really bored with really answering your question. When the contestants came in from a tile floor to a rug floor, you kind of can listen to their footsteps, if they're heavy or light. Also, you can tell from a handshake, if they have a firm handshake. Most people with firm handshakes have a reasonable amount of confidence. If they've got kind of like a wimpy handshake, either they're nervous or just wimps.
Wow, you've got a catalog of stuff. You lost your sight just 15 years ago. How old are you?
51.
So has your definition of beauty changed since the days when you had vision?
Yes, I would say that it's probably changed probably somewhat before that, because as you get older, other things about personalities and people are much more important than the physical element. than when I was a teenager or in your early 20s before you're married and all those kinds of things.
What did your wife think of your selection?
Oh, she said if I'd selected anybody else, she would have killed me.
Alright, so what did your wife think about your choice, your selection? Well, she said if I had selected anybody else, she would have killed me. So does that mean she liked his choice or she disliked his choice? She liked it, yeah. So basically said, yes, that was the best choice. If you had chosen another woman, I would have thought you were kind of, making really poor judgment or poor decision. I would have killed you. And again, that's a joke. He's not saying she would really kill him. But, yeah. So his wife liked his choice.
Let me ask you, what is your definition of beauty?
Well, I think my definition of beauty is someone who's reasonably outgoing, full of fun, laughter, just someone who shows caring and true sensitivity.
Well, we think that you have evinced a lot of all of that, and we really thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Harold Grace, he was a judge in this year's Miss Alberta and Miss Teen Alberta beauty pageants. He spoke to us from the Edmonton studios of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Okay. Nice. So, I don't know, I thought it was a really interesting idea. After I heard this for the first time about a year ago, I actually did a search about this man, and I found out that actually after this, he's done other beauty contests as well. He's kind of a celebrity blind beauty contest judge. He does quite a few of them. And yeah, he's just a really interesting man. I like him a lot. So, what I'd like you to do for homework, if you could, I'd like you to read a newspaper article talking about beauty contests. So this is this article here. It's on page 10. All of the vocabulary that are underlined in the article, I gave definitions for. So on this sheet, so you have the definitions. And then next week, I'd like to just do a little more discussion, maybe in a group, 2 groups maybe. Do about maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes of discussion on the last questions. So that's it. So if you could do that for homework, that would be nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and finish that. So today, on our main textbook, we were on page 66, and the focus was a grammar focus. And it's a little bit complicated. It's talking about articles. So definite articles, indefinite articles, or the zero article. So this is on page 66. So it says use and non-use of articles. So number 1 question, do you ever chew gum? Does it help you in any way? And why do you think some people object to people chewing gum? Do any of you chew gum? Sometimes? How often maybe? Once a week or more? Less?
Twice a week.
Okay, so me too. I like gum, but I don't chew it too often these days. Maybe once a week or maybe once or twice a month. But when I was younger and when I lived in America, like everybody chewed gum. My friends, my parents, even some of my teachers would chew gum. But when I was in elementary school, if you chewed gum in school, in class, my teachers got so angry. It was a really serious punishment. So you really couldn't do it. I think maybe the reason was some of the students would chew gum with their mouth open, and they thought that was kind of rude, like chewing with your mouth open, like eating food with your mouth open. And secondly, lots of students would put it underneath the chair. So they would chew and then they'd stick it on the bottom of the chair. And so I guarantee you, if you go to any American school today, and you look under the chair or under the desk, you'll find lots of gum. I guarantee you, there'll be lots and lots of chewing gum. And so it was kind of considered, not vandalism, but it was considered bad. You couldn't do it. So you get in trouble if you chew gum in school. This is a short article saying that actually chewing gum is good for you. It helps you concentrate, it helps your memory, it's actually positive for you.
Recently, I often listen to radio or TV.
Yeah.
They recommend thing.
Okay, so they actually said it too. It's really interesting research. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to take a look at section A and B, and then with your partner, if you can, see if you can choose the correct article. So the articles, so A or the, or zero, nothing. Alright, so A section says, teachers have already tried to ban it, but a new study has revealed that people can actually benefit from chewing gum. The author of the study, Dr. Andrew Scholey, I don't know, claims that there's a link between chewing and memory. A link may be connected to the production of oxygen in the brain. Production of oxygen. So maybe chewing, you get more oxygen to your brain. Maybe. Now, the next section then is continuing, but now we have choices. We have either, so for a study, for the study. Okay, so it should be the study, because we already know what's the study they're talking about. So in A, it said a new study, but after you introduce it, all the other examples should be the. So the study. So yesterday I found a cat outside my house. The cat was black, the cat was hungry, the cat was very friendly. So when you first introduce some new object or some new thing, you use the indefinite, but after that, you always use the. So for the study, the volunteers at Northumbria University. So C, there's no article. You don't use an article. So you don't say the Cambridge or the Oxford. You can say the University of Tokyo, but a lot of universities you don't use the. So just Northumbria University performed a number of tests designed to test their memory and concentration. Zero article. Just memory and concentration. Okay, now the first group were allowed to chew gum. No article. Just allowed to chew gum. If it was, if you have a little bit different, like a piece of gum, that would be okay. You could say chew a piece of gum, but just gum, no article. So allowed to chew gum. The second only pretended to chew, while the third did not chew at all. So that's kind of an interesting experiment. So one, they're actually chewing the gum. The other one, there's nothing they're chewing. They're just pretending. And then the last group doesn't do anything. So there was no difference between the three groups in terms of the concentration part. Okay, part. So if it's in terms of concentration, zero article. But if it's concentration part, so the experiment has different components. It has the memory part, the concentration part. So actually, if it's a section of the experiment, it's the part. So it's the concentration part of the test. So the concentration part of the test. Same thing, let's say you take an English test in Athene. The grammar part of the test is 20 minutes. The listening part of the test is 15 minutes. So if you're looking at a component of something, it's always the component, the concentration. Okay, but in the memory tests, there was a big difference. So for concentration, it was about the same. No big difference. But for memory, big difference. So there was a big difference. The group who had been allowed to chew performed 35% better than the other groups. Yeah, the other groups. Okay, all right. So I mean, it's a little bit unusual or difficult to understand some of these parts, but what I'd like you to take a look at now is maybe analysis number 1, and maybe section 2 in this. So, well, no, let's look at all of them. Okay, so analysis number 1. We don't need to find the examples right now, but just let's read A, B, C, D. So, an indefinite article for something that is one of many. If you're talking about one of a group, you're using the indefinite article. B, the definite article for something or someone that has been mentioned before. So in this article it was the study, or at my example, the cat. So the first time you mention it, it's indefinite, but then afterwards you change to the definite. C, definite article for something or someone that is unique. Unique. So in this example, the unique was the author. There's only one author. So the author of the study, in section A, it said the author of the study, Dr. Andrew Scully. So there's only one author. Unique, special, different. So you would use the definite article. And then the zero article for talking about things in general. So for talking about things in general would be teachers or people. That would be things in general. And you don't need an article. So in the very beginning, teachers have always tried to ban it. So you're not saying the teachers. If you say the teachers at Atelier Francais, that's fine, because you're looking at a very specific group of teachers. But if it's just teachers, it's a very general term, zero article. Same thing with people. So, yeah, reveal that people can actually benefit. So it's not a particular group of people, it's just everybody, all people. So, zero article.
In that case, it's plural?
Yeah, it's used as a plural. Yeah. So people are. People, something interesting. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so section 2 says notice some common phrases that take the definite or indefinite. One phrase, phrases that express quantity. So a lot, a few. Those all are using the indefinite. So a lot of people, a few times, and so on. Ordinals. So ordinals means the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so on. Those are called ordinals. Superlatives, you use the definite. So the biggest, the worst, the most, the least, and so on. And then before certain common adjectives. So the last, the same, things like that. So you have a few more examples. Okay, so let's try one more exercise. And then we'll see how we're doing. The exercise, so it's on page 67. So 67 has, well, it's called a general knowledge quiz. It's like a trivia quiz. And you have a question, and then you have 3 possible answers. So, okay, so when do Chinese people celebrate New Year? So when do Chinese people, or when do a Chinese people, when do the Chinese people? What do you think? Do you use an article or a zero article?
Zero.
Yeah, zero article. Yeah, zero article. So you don't usually say, when do the Americans celebrate New Year's? When do the Chinese? It's usually just zero article. Alright, so around... So end, that would be common adjective, the end. So around the end of January, in, usually zero article, in summer, and on the 1st of January. Yeah, the 1st of January. Okay, so with your partner, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how many of these you can decide on, and then we'll check in just a little bit. We'll listen. Okay, let's take a look at the answers first, and then we'll do the listening section. So for the answers, number one, or number two, I guess. So when is it common for people in some countries to have a siesta in the morning, in the afternoon, around 11 o'clock at night? No article. So do you know, when do people have a siesta? In the afternoon. It should be in the afternoon. Yeah. Number two or three. Newcastle is a city in which part of the UK? So yeah, United Kingdom. The United Kingdom. So in the northeast of England, in Scotland, on the south coast of England. The south coast. So we're using definite articles basically for places. When we say places, so the southwest, the southeast, the northwest, and so on, we're using the something. For number four, so this is a superlative. So which is the largest sea or ocean in the world? The Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Red Sea. All of them, the, everything. Okay, Jean-Louis Clement, who died on the 4th, so the 4th would be the ordinal, the 4th of August, 1997, is famous for being the oldest woman in the world, the tallest woman in the world, the president of France. No article. And I don't know. Does anyone know the answer to this question? I think it's the oldest woman, but I'm not sure. We'll listen a little bit. Number 6. If you went on a boat trip on the river Vltava, and went climbing in the Sumarva Mountains, and went sightseeing in Prague, which country would you be in? So, the Czech Republic, Russia, Slovakia. Anytime you have more like a series of words in the title of a country, like the United States of America, or the Czech Republic, you're using the definite. But if it's just one title, it's not the China, the Japan. You always shorten it. Now, there's a kind of a strange thing here, maybe. If you have the Sumarva Mountains, you're talking about a group of mountains. You use the. So the Himalaya, the Rockies. But if it's one mountain, Mount Fuji, you don't say the Fuji, the Mount Fuji, or the Everest. You use zero article. Yeah, so if it's a mountain range or a series of mountains, you use the definite article. Number 7, where will the next Summer Olympic Games be held? In China, in the USA, in Sydney. And I guess it depends on when this textbook was written, so I'm not sure. Lake Titicaca is the largest lake in Africa, the largest lake in South America, the largest lake in the world. Does anyone know?
It's a quiz.
It's a quiz, yeah. Do you know the answer? A, B, or C?
I know.
Yeah? B? Is it South America? South America.
South America.
Okay. How about the largest lake in Africa? Is that Lake Victoria? Or I think when we watched the documentary about the Nile, I think they mentioned it. I think they said the largest lake in Africa, but I don't remember exactly. So let's do it. Let's see if we can. No, that's South America. Sorry. So the largest lake in Africa is maybe this one. Yeah, so I think that looks to me like the biggest. Either that one or... No, it's gotta be that one. So maybe Lake Victoria. Maybe Lake Victoria is the biggest. So this is the one that Joanna, she came through, and then she came over to Rwanda finally. So she came through. So maybe Victoria, Lake Victoria, probably. Okay. All right. Next one is so Austrian Reinhold Messner is famous as a pop singer. The first man to climb Mount Everest without oxygen. The youngest ever prime minister of a European country. A European country. Because Austria is one country from a group. So if it's one of many, it's a country, European country. And then number 10. Number 10, the correct answer should be when was the former president. But I think when was former president of South Africa. That sounds very normal to me. But when was the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, released from prison? If it's a specific prison, if you say Robin prison, that's the. But yeah, if it's just prison, it's just a general term, like any prison, from prison. So this is a general term, like teachers or people or prison. It's not a specific. So released from prison in the 1980s, at the end of 1995, in 1990. In 1990. No article. 1990. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's listen to this section. So this is 6.2. So let's listen really quick, and they'll kind of give us our answers. Okay. So 6.2.
Recording 2. 1.
When do Chinese people celebrate New Year?
The Chinese don't celebrate their New Year on the 1st of January. The exact date varies from year to year, but it's usually around the end of January. 2.
When is it common for people in some countries to have a siesta?
It is common to take a siesta or short sleep in many hot countries, Spain and Mexico to name but two. The normal time for a siesta is after lunch in the middle of the afternoon.
3. Newcastle is a city in which part of the UK?
Newcastle, a city once famous for its shipbuilding, but now better known for its football team, is situated 450 kilometres north of London, in the northeast of England.
4. Which is the largest sea or ocean in the world?
The largest ocean has an area of 166 million square kilometres, and it contains more water than all the other seas and oceans of the world put together. It is, of course, the Pacific Ocean.
5.
Jeanne-Louise Calment, who died on the 4th of August 1997, is famous for being
the world's oldest woman. She was 122 when she died.
6.
If you went for a boat boat trip on the river Vltava and went climbing in the Sumava Mountains and went sightseeing in Prague, which country would you be in?
All of these places are to be found in the Czech Republic. 7.
Where will the next Summer Olympic Games be held?
The next Summer Olympics are to be held in 2008 in Beijing, in China.
8.
Lake Titicaca is
not the largest lake in the world, but with an area of over 8,000 square kilometers, it is the largest lake in South America.
9.
Austrian Reinhold Messner is famous as
the first man to climb Mount Everest without oxygen.
10. When was the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, released from prison?
Following 26 years in prison, Nelson Mandela was finally released in 1990. He became president of South Africa 4 years later.
Okay. So, Lake Titicaca is in Peru and Bolivia, maybe both. So it looks like, so we have Peru over here and then Bolivia over here, and then maybe it's kind of both. It's going through the border, so that would be the lake. Okay. All right. Well, let's actually go ahead and take a break. So let's finish this section. If you want to review some of the articles, there's kind of a grammar section in the back of this worksheet. So the Module 6, page 149, Module 6 has the use and non-use of articles, has more explanations. And then, yeah, if you have any other problems or questions, then you can just ask me next time. But anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to see if you have any questions from the final episode of the Ganges. I gave you last week the full, answer key, scripts, everything. So, but if you have some questions, I'll try to answer those. And then after that, I'd like to introduce the new documentary. So, cats. Everything is cats, so lots of cats. So, it's Joanna Lumley's Catwoman is the title. So, anyway, let's take a quick break. Get some more hot chocolate. It'll be pretty cold. Yeah, it's getting a bit colder. Okay, so if you have more questions later, you can ask me, of course, during the break or next week or whenever. Let's start our new documentary. Now, I lied to you. I'm sorry, I lied to you. I said that Joanna was going to be much, much easier, and you can relax. It's not quite true. It's easier because you see the presenter, you can see her speaking. You have her in conversation with other people, so that's easier to listen to. But there's a lot of vocabulary, as usual. So I thought the number of vocabulary was going to be smaller. I thought maybe only 2 pages, but again, 4 pages of vocabulary. But remember, you probably know a lot of these vocabulary, so, or at least it's possible you know some of these. So the first part is, the title of the documentary is Joanna Lumley, Catwoman. This documentary came out about 2 or 3 years ago. And actually she has recently done 2 or 3 new documentaries. One of them, she's the main presenter for James Bond. And it's like a new James Bond documentary, how James Bond started. And then she did one other travel documentary. But I haven't found it on the internet yet, so I can't use it in a class yet. This is the last one she made, 2008-2009. But, alright, so we have the 4 pages of vocabulary. And I think it's a bit too much to go through all together. But I'd like to go through at least maybe the first 2 pages. And then I'd like to show you the episode. And unfortunately, my organizing skill was not so good. I didn't actually have time to make all the DVDs today. Half of them are finished, but the other half are not. So I want to actually watch the full episode today. It's about 13 minutes. But first, let's do the vocabulary, watch the episode, then we'll go back and we'll watch maybe just part 1. We can do filling in the blank, part 1. So let's just do the first maybe 2 pages of vocabulary. The first one, official, or officially. If you say something's official, and this was also in the last documentary, official kind of means that it's approved by the government. The official statement, the official doctrine, the official thing. So, or maybe the official language. You say the approved language of the country by the government. Reckoned. Reckoned is a really casual word. It kind of means estimate or calculate. So maybe I don't have a clock. I can't see the time, but I guess. I think, well, I reckon it's about 4:15. I reckon it's about 3:45. It's like a guess. That's the same thing. Mostly Americans, I think, they say reckoned. Number 3, vast just means very large, very big, a vast place. Purring is the kind of a sound a cat makes when it's maybe happy or relaxed. Like in every cat, like tigers, lions, house cat, if they're kind of in a happy position, their voice, they're kind of a strange purr. I can't do it, so I'm not going to try. Regal. If you describe someone or something as regal, it means it's kind of impressive and beautiful, kind of like a king or queen. Like if you say that they're standing in a regal position, kind of a very straight and very powerful position. Or maybe if you're looking at someone's clothing, and it's very nice quality, very expensive clothing, you can say regal, regal clothing. So if you compare a cat or a dog, their behavior, the cat, you would say, is more regal. It's more impressive. It looks more kind of, I don't know, something more in control, more confident maybe. Remote. Remote here is describing personality. It kind of means unfriendly. They don't... Now, if you say a place is remote, it means far away from civilization, far away from a city. But if you say a person is remote, kind of just means they're not very friendly, they kind of are quiet and don't really talk to other people very much. Devoted just means that you love someone or you love something very much. Very common, like in the example sentence, a loving and devoted husband. It's a very common sentence. A devoted wife, a devoted child. It just means strong loyalty and strong love, usually for family members. Irrepressibly, irrepressible. Irrepressible is describing a person who's very lively, energetic. You can't, or you almost never see them unhappy. They're always happy, always cheerful, always energetic. You say they're irrepressible. Puzzling, it just means kind of confusing. You can't understand something very well. Adore means you like something very much. It's very strong. If you say, I love you to your husband or wife or something, and then you say, I adore you, that's very strong. Or maybe I worship you would even be stronger. So, I don't know, maybe you've seen this word in French. Do you know Dior? Do you know the brand Dior? One of their kind of slogans is, J'adore Dior. Like, I love Dior. So, adore is both French and English. Probably it started in French, probably. Unsettling just means something kind of makes you worried or upset or uncertain about something. Unsettling can be maybe some recent bad news. Let's say you watch the TV news and you hear some news story about the economy. And it says that we predict the economy is going to get worse and worse and worse. After you finish watching, you feel a bit worried about the future. You feel unsettled. Unraveling. Unravel can be like maybe a sweater. If you have a sweater, and maybe part of the sweater, it's kind of the thread is coming out and kind of coming up. You say your sweater is unraveling. But if a plan unravels, it can mean it kind of comes apart. But this is the third way. If you unravel a mystery or a puzzle, it becomes clear. You find the answer. So let's say you have a math problem, or you have a grammar problem, you have some difficult problem. When you unravel it, you understand. It's good, it's positive. It becomes clear. The mystery is gone. Feline just means cat. That's it. For dogs, you say canine. That's the kind of the scientific name, canine. But for cats, feline. Enigma is mystery or mysterious. And medieval is a period of history. It's a period of European history, usually between the Roman Empire of about 476 and about 1500 AD. So the medieval time period. Some people call this the Middle Ages. Some people call this the Dark Ages. But the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, mostly are talking just European. Because when you look at the Middle East, if you look at China, they weren't really experiencing the Dark Ages. They were doing fine. They were doing really well. But Europe was having a lot of problems. So after Greece, after Rome, for a long period of time, before the Renaissance, they were having lots of difficulties. Deaf. Deaf means you can't hear. So maybe Beethoven. Beethoven, at the end of his life, an amazing composer, but he couldn't hear. He was deaf. So if you can't hear, that's deaf. If you can't see, that's blind. If you can't speak, you say a mute. You are mute. So similar, like on your remote control, probably there's a button. Well, maybe it's not mute, but maybe this button and the sound cuts off. In an English remote control, it's mute. M-U-T-E, mute button. So deaf, you can't hear. Rasping. If something rasps, it makes a harsh, unpleasant sound as it rubs against something hard or rough. This isn't the most common way it's used. Rasping is often used to describe a voice. Let's say maybe someone gets kind of sick, or maybe someone smokes way too many cigarettes, and their voice kind of has a strange voice that they have. That would be rasping. In the example sentence it says, Foden rasped a hand across his chin. That's a little strange, but maybe, okay, if a man has kind of like a beard, and then he rubs and there's like a sound, maybe you could say rasping. That's a little strange. Mostly it's describing a voice, the way a voice sounds. Fireside just means there's like, well, basically you're sitting beside a fire. So you say the cat was sleeping fireside. The cat was sleeping in front of the fireplace, close to the fire. Aloof means unfriendly or distant. Nocturnal means things at night. You do something at night. So cats, you say, are nocturnal animals. Often they're hunting and walking around and doing things at night. They're nocturnal. Or you know the movie Batman. The bat is a nocturnal animal. It sleeps during the day, it goes out at night. That's called nocturnal. Disturbing is just worrying, upsetting. Irresistible just means very attractive. You cannot resist it. Very attractive. Very common, you talk about this for people. You say maybe she is irresistible, or maybe sometimes food, like chocolate. For me, chocolate is irresistible. If I go home and there's chocolate on the table, I must eat it. I have to eat it. And actually, I made a mistake last week. Last week was Halloween. And some of Hayden's friends gave him some chocolates and treats and so on. When I came home, they were on the table, and I was like, ah, chocolate, and I ate them. And then the next day, Hayden was looking for his chocolate, and he's like, oh, Papa ate them. And then later, he told my wife, he said, Mama, don't put chocolate on the table. Papa will eat it. so he knows that if you show me chocolate, I'm going to eat it. So, yeah, too bad. Aficionado. Aficionado kind of means an expert. It kind of means a specialist. In fact, there's a magazine in America called Aficionado that's all about cigars. Like people who love smoking cigars, who know lots about cigars, who buy expensive cigars. You can also be an aficionado for maybe wine. You can be an aficionado for maybe vintage cars. Like if you collect cars, if you know a lot about some particular subject, you say you're this kind of thing aficionado. So it could be a cat aficionado. If you love cats, you're kind of an expert in cats, you could be an aficionado. Possibly I'm a chocolate aficionado. Possibly. I love all chocolate, but I can recognize high quality. I can describe high quality chocolate. So maybe you say aficionado. Ultimate just means the best, the highest, the top of something. Beguiling. Beguiling is very charming, very attractive. Kind of like, almost like magic. If you, like sometimes you've used, people have used to describe, like, if there's a beautiful, amazing woman, and many men fall in love, you could say she's like a witch. She casts a spell, makes the men fall in love with her. Beguiling is used often in the same way. You say she has a beguiling personality, or a beguiling look. It kind of, it makes people love them. It's very, very attractive. Lure also means attractive. Torture means to cause pain, mental or physical pain to someone. In full swing, if something's in full swing, it is operating fully and is no longer in its early stages. A common way of talking about this would maybe be a party. Let's say you have a party, it starts at 7 o'clock. And maybe there's 20, 30 people, and they're kind of talking a little bit. But after they drink some more, and more people come, and the music turns on, after an hour or 2 hours, the party is really wild and loud, and everybody's having fun. You say the party is in full swing. It means it's finally going kind of the highest degree, the biggest activity. You say in full swing. Surreal. Surreal is a type of art. For example, do you know Salvador Dali? His kind of art, you say, is very surreal, very dreamlike, very strange art. Here it kind of means like a dream. If something is surreal, it's almost like it's not reality, it's dreamlike. And then courtesy of. If something is provided courtesy of someone, or by courtesy of someone, they provide it, they often use this expression in order to thank them. Okay, so let's actually go ahead and stop the vocabulary here. I want to show you the episode, and then we'll try to do the first section. So first of all, I just want to watch the episode. I don't want you to be looking at the worksheet. I don't want you to be thinking about anything else. Just watch the episode, see if you can hear a few of the vocabulary that we've just covered. So see if you can notice, and then we'll go back and we'll have a little bit of time and we can check maybe the first section. And then I'm sorry, I'll have to give you the DVD next time. So okay. So just the episode. My wife loves cats.
In our homes, cities and towns, on our sofas and laps, a quiet invasion has been taking place. The cat is now officially the most popular pet in the Western world. In Britain alone, it's reckoned there are 12 million cats.
Were you able to catch quite a few of the vocabulary that we covered? recognize, even if it was a bit too fast to kind of to go through. So we have about 10 minutes. I'd like to do maybe the first part, so fill in. The fill-in is actually going back to Belgium when they were having that kind of cat festival. So in Belgium, the cat festival was kind of a celebration of cats, but it also was focusing a lot on the witches. So in Europe at that time, both certain women, the witches, and the cats were seen as very evil and dark and so on. And the court jester, the town jester, that was the guy that was throwing the cats off the top of the building. They're kind of showing how in the past they actually threw real cats off of the top of buildings because they thought they were evil, they were trying to get rid of the evil and so on. So I'd like to go back to that section and I'd like you to see if you can fill in these missing words. So let me see if I can kind of refine that place. So, cat show, Belgium.
Which is top. It's wood. It's pretty. On a warm afternoon in the town of Ypres, their world-famous cat parade is now in full swing. It's all a bit surreal, yet so far at least, it seems pretty harmless. I can't resist joining in the fun. But courtesy of the town jester, the festival culminates in a rather shocking ritual. In Ypres 500 years ago, 9 lives wouldn't have been enough for even the sturdiest of cats. Europe had gone witch mad, and here in Belgium, they took to slinging live witches' cats off the tops of high buildings. In fact, it wasn't until 1817 that this barbaric ritual was stopped. It's an unlikely thing to commemorate, but thankfully today, the cats here are merely toys.
It's so strange because even though this is a sort of carnival day and everybody's having such fun and they're only toy cats, a knife of fear and pain goes through me. Just to think a short time ago they were throwing real live cats out of here simply because of the superstition that cats contain evil spirits.
And it wasn't just the Belgians. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that Satan often took the form of a cat. And all over Europe, they were tortured and ritually killed in their thousands, often also burning alive the poor innocent women who owned them.
Is there ever a creature which divided us so?
Right, let's watch again, and then with your partner, if you can try to catch. So the first part has a lot of numbers, has 3 or 4 different numbers, so years, and then lives, and then a date. But let's watch one more time, it's kind of short, and then check.
Witch mad. And here... In Ypres 500 years ago, 9 lives wouldn't have been enough.
Even more. So.
In Ypres 500 years ago...
I missed it. Thank you. Okay, first one should be shocking. A shocking ritual. Really, unbelievable. Shocking ritual. Okay, sorry, I keep underestimating.
A rather shocking ritual. In Ypres 500 years ago, 9 lives wouldn't have been enough for even the sturdiest of cats. Europe had gone witch mad, and here in Belgium, they took to slinging live witches' cats off the tops of high buildings. In fact, it wasn't until 1817 that this barbaric ritual was stopped. It's an unlikely thing to commemorate, but thankfully today, the cats here are merely toys.
It's so strange because even though this is a sort of carnival day and everybody's having such fun and they're only toy cats, a knife of fear and pain goes through me. Just to think a short time ago they were throwing real live cats out of here simply because of the superstition that cats contain evil spirits.
And it wasn't just the Belgians. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that Satan often took the form of a cat. And all over Europe, they were tortured and ritually killed in their thousands, often also burning alive the poor innocent women who owned them.
Is there ever a...
Okay. So we'll stop there, see how many you can catch, and then we'll check and listen one more time. Because if you don't, it's too bad for the document. Alright, well let's go ahead and check, see how many, and then we'll watch one more time. Alright, the first one should be, okay, shocking. Number 2 should be 500 years, and then 9 lives. 9 lives wouldn't have been enough even for the sturdiest of cats. Do you know this, this idea, 9 lives? It's a really common kind of myth or rumor that cats have 9 lives. It kind of means they're lucky, but it kind of just means, let's see, do they have it? Are they going to give it to me? Yes, no? Okay. So, domestic cat, informally you say Felis domesticus. It's a small, usually furry, domesticated cat and so on, and then there's a myth that they have 9 lives. So, can I find that section? They're talking about habits, history, mythology. Oh, did they talk about it? I just found it and now it's gone. But it's a really common, yeah, I guess here. So, according to a myth in many cultures, cats have multiple lives. So, in many countries, they're believed to have 9 lives. And in some Spanish-speaking regions, they're said to have 7 lives. But in Turkish and Arabic, 6. So it kind of means that cats are really lucky. So a lot of times, you think they're going to fall and die, but they're really graceful, they're really able to save themselves. Or also the idea of, if you take a cat and turn it upside down and drop it, it always lands on its feet, that kind of thing. So there's like this myth that they're really lucky, that you can't kill them. But she says, you know, they need more than 9 lives to survive, throw off a building. You know, they're going to die, that kind of thing. So 9 lives wouldn't have been enough even for the sturdiest of cats. In Europe, Europe had gone witch mad. Witch mad. Now, witch mad means witch crazy. In the Middle Ages, when the Europeans were killing so many witches, that's actually called the witch craze. And craze just means the people were just not thinking normally. They were just crazy people to try to kill off all these witches. So you say witch mad. And here in Belgium, they took to slinging live cats off the tops of high buildings. Now, sling, if you sling something, it is meaning to throw something. So they're throwing witches' cats off the tops of high buildings. In fact, it wasn't until 1817 that this barbaric ritual was stopped. 1817. It's an unlikely thing to commemorate. Now, commemorate means remember or think about. This was a word that they used last week when we did the article on Halloween. It said the one of the holidays, Labor Day, doesn't commemorate anything. It doesn't remember anything particularly. So if you have a modern day festival and you want to kind of remember and throw off the toy cats, that's kind of a strange thing to do. So she says, you know, it's an unlikely thing to commemorate, but thankfully today the cats here are merely toys. It's so strange, because even though this is a sort of a carnival day, everybody's having such fun, and they're only toy cats, a knife of fear and pain goes through me. Fear and pain. Now, when you say a knife, here it kind of means a very negative feeling. Like if you feel deep worry or deep sadness, sometimes people say it's a knife of sadness or a knife of fear. I feel inside my body. So she loves cats, and she's watching. Of course, it's not real cat today. It's just a toy cat. But she imagines real cats being thrown off, and she feels this kind of pain, this kind of trauma. So she says a fear and pain that goes through me. To think just a short time ago they were throwing real life cats out of here simply because of the superstition that cats contain evil spirits. Evil spirits. And it wasn't just the Belgians. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that Satan often took the form of a cat, and all over Europe they were tortured and ritually killed in their thousands, often also burning alive the poor and innocent women who owned them. Owned. So you own an object, you own a house, owned the cats. So the cats were killed, also the witches were killed, usually burning alive, often burning alive. So very, very good, terrible history. Alright, so I want to see that one more time, it's just one minute, and then...
It seems pretty harmless. I can't resist joining in the fun. But courtesy of the town jester, the festival culminates in a rather shocking ritual. In Ypres 500 years ago, 9 lives wouldn't have been enough for even the sturdiest of cats. Europe had gone witch mad, and here in Belgium, they took to slinging live witches' cats off the tops of high buildings. In fact, it wasn't until 1817 that this barbaric ritual was stopped. It's an unlikely thing to commemorate, but thankfully today, the cats here are merely toys.
It's so strange because even though this is a sort of carnival day and everybody's having such fun and they're only toy cats, a knife of fear and pain goes through me. Just to think a short time ago they were throwing real live cats out of here simply because of the superstition that cats contained evil spirits.
And it wasn't just the Belgians. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that Satan often took the form of a cat. And all over Europe, they were tortured and ritually killed in their thousands, often also burning alive the poor innocent women who owned them.
Was there ever a creature which divided us so much?
Alright, so anyway, sorry about the timing, but yeah, I don't have the DVD today. It's possible I could put it onto YouTube and you can watch it online, but that's not perfect. That's not the best situation. So probably we'll just have to wait until next week, give you the DVDs, and we'll just work on this a little bit more next time. Some of it you could probably answer now anyway, just from watching one time. But yeah, let's just, continue this next week. You don't have to do this for homework. Yeah, mad is another word for kind of insane, like mental illness, crazy. So if you meet mad, too big say she is mad or he is mad, it means they're crazy, they're insane, they have mental illness, some kind of sickness. And so if you say Europe was witch mad, it means they were crazy looking for witches. They thought witches were everywhere. And so it's kind of a little slightly just crazy. How many of you have cats? Do any of you own a cat, like as a pet? No? Eugene, you have one. You have 2 cats, okay. Nobody else? That's interesting, because in the documentary she says it's usually women who have the cats. So Guji, did you buy the cats because you wanted them, or your wife wanted the cats?
My wife.
I love cats, but I mean, I usually would prefer a dog. If I was choosing a pet, I'd probably choose a dog first. But when I was growing up, we always had a couple cats. And then when I lived in England, we kind of kidnapped our neighbor's cat. Not really. I mean, the neighbor's cat was just kind of a cat that would just wander around. But then we started feeding it, and it really liked us. It came to our house all the time. And then we would let it come inside, and most of the time it would stay in our house with us. And finally the owner got a little bit upset and put on its collar a little message. Said, "I am not a wild cat. Please do not feed me," kind of thing. But she was such a nice cat. We really liked her. And now in my neighborhood, my wife always tries to make friends with all the cats so she can kind of play with the cats. My wife's mother likes cats, but she has 2 problems. One, a very small allergy to cats, and also she's afraid of the pain when the cat dies. Because she's had pets before, and when they die, she's so sad. She doesn't want to experience that again. So she kind of, she just says, yeah, no cats, I don't want any cats. But with my family, if we get a new house, a new place, definitely going to get a cat. A couple cats, probably. I know, I really like them too. But I want a big cat. I want like a tiger or something. That would be my first choice. No? Anyway, see you later. Have a nice night.